Today you see a jacket that is a tad out of my comfort zone. It's a little shorter, perfect for fit and flare dresses. Hi sewing friends, I'm Karina from liftingpinsandneedles.com. Welcome to this channel that is all about sewing. Super wide, big smile on my face because I have a jacket to share. And if you've been following along this channel, this is my face when I sew a jacket usually because I just enjoy them so much. And this time I went a little bit out of my comfort zone with the style because I usually sew jackets that are a little longer, a little bit more form-fitting. I'm very happy with the result, and this is a new pattern from Pattern Emporium called Smitten jacket. Smitten, I just love the names that Kate chooses for her patterns. They're always so cute. This is designed to be ultra cropped or cropped. The ultra cropped version would be right at the waist. The longest version will be below your natural waist. It'll be at the high hip. Also on the jacket you'll find the cut lines for a regular height and a toe height. So there's different cut lines or options that you can choose. This type of jacket won't create bulk if you're wearing a fit and flare dress. Usually those have a fuller skirt, and if you wear a longer jacket with those, it tends to just look voluminous and you just lose any definition there in the midsection. And it's got the classic 3 panels on the front with a yoke. If you want, you can sew a patch pocket there with a flap, or just a patch pocket, or just a flap, or nothing. The panels are easy to sew, don't worry. You have 3 pieces that compose the back. There's also a yoke there, and the collar and the placket are so easy to sew. The placket is integrated into the front piece, so you don't need to sew on a separate piece. And the collar is just the easiest technique to sew these types. For the sleeves, there are 2 versions. You can sew a regular type of slim sleeve with a bound placket, cuff and pleats. That's a more sort of classic look. And the other type of sleeve has the same sleeve head, it's just wider, and it will go with a gathered cuff with an elastic inside. I think that's a new feature, and that's what I was excited to try, so that's what I've chosen. Continuing with the sleeves, this jacket is designed to be mashable with the sleeves of 3 other patterns. Take the Chance shirt dress, the all-in shirt, and the Meet You There top and dress. So you have a ton of sleeve options that will fit this armhole, so that just multiplies your options by about 100. Choose whatever sleeve you want, it's going to fit. If you already have those patterns, you can have a lot of fun with that. And for the hemband, you can sew the hemband normal, and because it's a shorter jacket and there's quite a lot of ease at the waist, the look will just be boxier. But you can also sew that same hemband and put an elastic inside, and that will just bring it closer to the body. So whatever look you want, you can choose the elastic or not. I did want that elastic at the waist to bring it all in. I think that style would suit me better, so that is the style I've chosen. Because the Smitten jacket is a brand new pattern, it'll be 15% off through Monday the 24th of April in Australia around noon, but over here it's a little earlier because they're sort of in the future. So if you live around this area of the world, it'll be around Sunday night. And it's not just the Smitten jacket that's 15% off. Kate always adds other patterns that are on sale as well that will go with this style. So you'll find some fit and flare dresses, some wide leg pants. I have videos and content about quite a few of them already, so I will leave all that information linked down below, as well as my affiliate link. If you'd like to use it, I do make a small commission back from those sales. You don't pay anything extra, but it does support the work that I do here on YouTube. So if you use my link, I'm always super grateful. The pattern is designed for woven fabrics with no stretch. Light to medium weight are going to work best. I would say the more structured types of fabrics are going to work the best with the hemband that is not gathered and the slim type of cuff. So I would use 100% linen, a cotton, that type of material with that style. That's just my opinion. And then for the version that has the elasticated hemband and the wider sleeve with a cuff, I would choose fabrics that are a little drapier, tencel twill, rayon twill, linen rayon blend, maybe a crepe. So because I chose the version with a wider sleeve with a cuff and with a hemband with the elastic, I chose a linen rayon blend that is very soft, very malleable, just because the rayon component is quite substantial, 70%, 30% linens. There are different blends when you mix these 2 fibers, so just look. I think the ones that have a little bit more rayon are going to be a little drapier while keeping that medium weight, and I thought the fabric I've chosen was perfect for the features I wanted here, which was more volume there and the gathers at the hemband. I would not have been happy to make this version with a cotton or something structured, but maybe that's what you like. I'm just always saying what my opinions are. They're just my opinions, you know, you can always experiment and see. The sizing available is from 4 to 30 Australian sizing. This one goes up to a hip of 58 3/4. It is an easy fit design. It's not super roomy, it's not super tight. I think the ease is fine for you to wear a layer underneath, but not a huge thick layer. If you want to wear a long sleeve shirt underneath, you'll be okay. At the bust, you have about 6 inches of positive ease, and at the waist, around 9 or 10. I don't think the hip measurements are too important here because the jacket won't reach that length. For the panels on the front, there are 3 pieces and the yoke. There is a regular bust option there, so just standard. And then if you look at the measurements chart, and your high bust and your full bust are at least 2 or 3 sizes off. So for example, your high bust fits into the 14 size, but then your full bust is like 18 or 20. That means that you have a larger sewing cup size. Then choose the full bust pieces, and that will give you more shaping, more length, and a better fit. All my measurements fit into the same size, 18. I didn't think I needed the full bust adjustment, and I don't think you should lengthen this jacket. The more you lengthen it, the more you're going to end up hitting the mid hip, and then your circumference just starts getting wider, and then you won't get the fit that's intended. I think if you're a regular height, you know, up to 5'6", sew the regular lengths, and then if you're a little taller, sew the tall lengths, and you'll be okay. That's my opinion, and I know for a fact that this does not work because I did make a test garment, a really horrible non-wearable one, which is how I always make my test garments. And just looking at the finished length measurements which are provided, I thought I might need 1.5 inches extra of length. I thought I wanted that, so I added that onto my pattern, made the test garment, and it just hit in a weird spot. It was just not right. It just ended up being too long for the style, hitting my mid hip, and the way I'm shaped, at least my waist goes in and my curve coming out for the hips is quite sharp. I don't have a lot of distance there, so it was not a good look. So I decided to just keep the original cropped jacket, which is the longer version. It's a little below the waist with the toe length, and I think that is the length that's perfect for me to have the look desired and to keep the style as per the original. So if you want a longer jacket, this is not the jacket to lengthen, in my opinion. Personal fitting, straight size 18, tall cropped version. Nothing else other than adding 1 inch of length to the sleeves. I wanted to make sure the cuff was going to be correct, and I was going to have a little bit of blousing there, so that was the only adjustment. I usually don't make any fitting adjustments when I sew Pattern Emporium. They're quite easy fit garments. Shoulders fit well, everything fits really good, so that's just really relaxing. I do have some sewing for you, and I'm focusing on things that are different or just interesting. The placket is integrated into the front piece. The collar is just the easiest technique, and I have already shown it on the channel with the Take the Chance shirt dress. So with that video, I did film the placket, the collar, all the details, and the sewing technique for this one are exactly the same. This jacket has a single yoke layer, so if your fabric is medium weight, you know, you could do that, that's fine, but I just love throwing a second layer and doing my burrito method and enclosing seams. I have a video that shows you how to do that, and I also showed it in the Take the Chance shirt dress video, so that content is already there. I'm focusing on general construction, the sleeves, the hemband, interfacing, block fusing, all those little bits, so there is a lot to see anyway. Let's see. I've been doing a little bit of interfacing here for the version that I'm sewing, which is the wider sleeve with a cuff. These are the only pieces that you need to interface. So what I have right here is the upper collar. The under collar is a similar piece, only slightly narrower. That one doesn't need to be interfaced. I have already interfaced this piece of fabric. I did cut it larger than this, and I have already cut that bottom curve, as you can see there, but I still need to trim away here on the sides and cut to shape. This is block fusing, and I always do this. I'm using a regular yellow coloring pencil, and I dip it in water, and that's what I'm using to make marks. They are quite bright, they do stand out, and they will remain there while I'm sewing, and I do a tiny dot on the edge inside the seam allowance. So that's my upper collar cut out. Other pieces I need to cut out are the pocket flaps. These are optional, you don't have to do them. There's also patch pockets if you want, but I'm just going to have a pocket flap as a decoration. I have already cut these two. These will be on the underside, and the top will be the smooth one that's interfaced. You can see this is also a slightly larger piece of fabric, already interfaced both of these, and then I'll just trim away that, so that will be super simple. What I have here is the center front panel and the front yoke. So all along the center, you're going to have a section that's interfaced, and that just makes the process so much easier because you don't have to sew a separate piece. So here you have a little dotted line that says fold line on this one and on that one. And I suppose you could wait until you have everything sewn together and then fuse it. But because I like to do modified block fusing, I like to fuse before I cut out and sew. So I'm just doing it differently. I'm just using first and then I'm going to sew my jacket. So on this area, you can see I have an area that's interfaced right there, slightly larger. I made a mark on my fabric right where that fold is, and I had marked it with a tracing wheel, the black interfacing there, same as on the other side. So now that that's there, I can go ahead and finish cutting this piece. I like block fusing, and you know, and I always show it, it does eliminate the shrinkage factor that you might have with interfaced areas. So if this little area was going to shrink a little, it already did, and it's not going to affect the final size of the piece. And this gives me a lot of peace of mind. Same as over here, I have cut this to shape, but I've left extra fabric here on the top and on the bottom. There's also a dotted line which is up to where you have to interface, and I made a mark and it's already interfaced. So the pattern piece is on top, and now I can just be happy and cut away the excess. So I have my section there already interfaced, ready to go, and this kept its original length. Everything is as per the original shape and size. Here we have all the pattern pieces for the body of the Smitten jacket from Pattern Emporium, and it looks like there's quite a few pieces, but there's nothing complex. Over here we have the two collar pieces. The one that's interfaced is the upper collar, the non-interfaced one is the under collar, and over here we have the back area of the jacket, the side back and the center back. The center back is cut on the fold, the back yoke is cut on the fold, and as per the original you would just sew a single layer. That keeps it simple, but I can't help myself and do 2 layers and enclose seams with the burrito methods. I'm looking in my stash for a small piece of leftover contrast fabric that I'll use as a second layer inside. That'll just add my personal touch. Hasn't been cut out yet. Over here we have all the front pieces, and underneath the front yoke we have 3 panels. Everything's going to be super easy to put together, and you can see that the center front areas have already been interfaced. I'm going to use optional pocket flaps in the pattern, and those are going to be sandwiched in between this area. This long piece at the bottom is going to be the hemband, and I haven't yet decided if I'm going to do the regular hemband or the elasticated one. If I am going to do the regular hemband, I am going to have to interface it partially. If you want to do the one with the elastic inside, then you don't interface anything. There are 2 sleeve options, and I've chosen the one that's going to be gathered in at the cuff, so it goes slightly wider like this. There is a regular sleeve that's just straight, and it's going to have a little bound placket with pleats and a cuff, the more traditional style, but that is not what I've chosen for this one. So you can see that there's a slight curve there. That curve is supposed to be there, and the cuff to match the sleeve is longer than the other regular cuff. This is a cuff that's going to have elastic inside. Everything's going to be super easy to put together. For example, the back pieces have double notches, so it's impossible for you to make a mistake. The armhole has the double notches, so it's really easy to know that these 2 pieces go together. Moving along, all these front panels also have notches to match, so these are going to match right there. You can see those at that height, closer to that edge. On this side, a fair distance longer from this top edge, you have these 2 notches that are going to match like that. So it's going to be fairly easy to put all this together. When I'm assembling things that have a lot of panels, I just go the easy way. I put this out on the table to show you. As I'm here, I'm going to put 1 pin holding these layers together the way they're supposed to go. I'm not trying to match notches, I'm just putting pieces together, and that makes it so much easier later on. I'm using a linen rayon blend, and some of the areas do have layers. I think it's a nice medium weight fabric, and number 90/14 needle is going to be good. I am stay stitching the necklines first before I do anything. I'm going from the shoulder to the center, and then again from the other shoulder to the center. I'm stay stitching directionally. Sewing up all these panels can be quite fast. I just took a little bit of time to match up all the seams. This specific fabric is super easy to work with. Nothing is super slippery. It's just very easy to match up the raw edges. So I'm going to just do lots of straight seams. The front is composed of 3 panels. This is for one side. Here is the other one for the other side. Here we have the back. The back has a wider area in the center, so there's only 2 seams to compose the back. I am going to clean up the edges first with the serger. I think it's it's just really easy to do it that way. I'm going to be careful not to trim anything away. I'll be doing a lot of straight seams here on the serger, just over and over and over and over and over, getting rid of these pins. And then once I have all of these straight seams that unite the panels for both the back and the front, then I'll head over to my sewing machine and sew all my seams with 3/8 seam allowance. Straight stitch, I'm using a 3.0 stitch length, and I'm being really careful to use the correct seam allowance. You know, these 3 panels have to have an exact shape so that they match the yoke that's going to go on the top. So it's very nice. So it's very important to pay attention and just try to be exact as you can with the seam allowances there when there are pieces that need to fit together later. This is one of the fronts, 3 pieces sewn together and serged, and these seam allowances go pressed flat like this. So both of these from the middle panel go out, one to the center, one to the side, and that's the way I'm going to top stitch. So it'll be a lot of top stitching now. I'll be using my blind hem presser foot for the stitch that goes right there on the edge, and then you'll be using a 1/4 inch presser foot for the second row. So lots and lots and lots of that now for the front and the back. I'll be edge stitching first everywhere so I can use my presser foot. Once I'm done, then I'm going to do it again with a 1/4 inch presser foot. For top stitching, I like a longer stitch length, 3.5, so that you can see it. And I'm using the normal thread I'm using to sew this jacket. I'm not using a different thread. This is the top area of the back. Those are the partial armholes right there. I'm going to also push the seam allowances towards the sides like this, and that's the way I'm going to top stitch. Now I've got the 1/4 inch presser foot after I've done all the edge stitching, and I'll go ahead and do a lot of seams with this seam allowance. I think using these 2 presser feet will always give you such professional results. Super neat, and you don't even have to try hard at all. The presser foot does it for you. Here are my pocket flaps. I've just sewn both layers together and then turned them right sides out and then top stitched. I only used a 1/4 inch for this. If you look in there, you'll see that the interfaced layer is the one on top. That's the smooth one. And I've just centered my pocket flap over these 2 seams there. So that's where they're going to be. I've just done some quick hand basting to hold them in place, and now I'll just forget that they're there. This is the front yoke that's going to go sewn on there. So we'll just flip it. You can see this area is interfaced and that area is interfaced. Those should match right there. And sew that and serge. The front yoke is attached. I've done a double row of top stitching the same as I did everywhere else, and now we can work on this integrated placket. On the center we have the interfaced area, and first we do a guide stitch at 3/8 and we press that in, and then the second fold I'm just going to use my interfacing as a guide because that's where the second fold would be, like that. I've been to the iron and tidied all of this up. The first fold by 3/8 and then the following fold following the edge of the interfacing right there. So that's how it's going to look inside. It's super neat. So right there on that crease I'm going to put a pin just to help, and I'm going to bring this over right sides together on this little area, and you're going to see a mark there that matches the mark on the other side. And now all we need to sew is this tiny little section from the edge up to there at 3/8, just that on both sides. This is done at 3/8 seam allowance. So you can see the stitch goes right up to that mark, and now what we need to do is snip from this raw edge up to there like that, and then flip this little bit. So we get this really clean edge and this little shape there. This is what we need then to sew our collar piece on, and we're going to do this on both sides and leave it like that for now. We still need to sew the front to the back and do all the yoke business. So I'm going to get that done, and then this is ready to put on the collar after that. I have decided I'm going to do the band at the bottom that will have the elastic inside. So for that option, you're not meant to top stitch this down yet. But if you're going to do the band that's just simple, the regular band at the bottom, then at this stage you could top stitch this down. Here are the yokes sewn. I have both layers. I have a cotton layer inside, and I just attached my label right there. Encloses that seam, encloses that seam. It's super neat. And then I've basted these 2 layers together, and now we are ready to put on the collar. I have filmed this exact technique with the Take the Chance shirt dress, which uses the exact same steps. You can look at that video to see how to put on the collar. I have already pinned my side seams. I'll sew those, and then we'll be able to sew on the hem band and then the sleeve. This is the band that's going to go on the hem. This can be sewn just normal or gathered. I'm going to put the elastic in. That means that this is not interfaced. So I have it plain right here, but this area is interfaced and so is the one on the other side. It's a pretty long piece and I did have to piece at the center back just to be able to get my piece. I think you won't be able to see it because it's going to be elastic, and I hope the gathers sort of hide that. I don't think it's going to be too noticeable. So I've just pressed this in half lengthwise, wrong sides together. On these ends, we want to fold this area right sides together and close it up. So I'm going to sew there by 3/8 on both sides and then flip it, and we're going to have a clean edge. This is the bottom of the jacket, and so far I had hand basted this placket because I couldn't sew it until this point. We need full access here at the bottom, so we need to be able to extend this. And this folded edge right there is going to be right here against this memory crease that we have there. This is then going to fold over, and that's how it's going to be finished neatly. So I'm going to put a pin right there, and I'm going to pin all the way along the bottom to the other side. I want to sew the band on its own first. I just think it's easy, and then I want to leave a gap in this area to put my elastic through, fix it, thread it through the other side, and do the same thing. What I'm doing now is sewing on this band, and I've got the finished edge of the band against that memory crease, and I've left a little gap there so I can put my elastic through after I've sewn it on. So I've already done a fair bit, and then I'm just going to continue to the other side. And when I get to this other edge, I'm going to stop around there as well. After the elastic is in, this is going to cover that, and then we're going to sew there and flip it, and that's going to give you a clean finish. So I don't want to have the elastic go all the way up to there. I'm going to thread it through this opening and just leave it up to there and pin it down. I've measured this one against my body around where the length of the jacket is going to hit, so it's nice and comfortable. And I've just got a huge safety pin, and I'm just going to start pulling it through. This is always fiddly, you know, you're putting an elastic through something. So I have the elastic just past this, I can feel it right there, and I'm just going to baste it down there. So I've just tucked it there with a long stitch length. I can remove that later, but for now it's going to keep it in place so I can keep pushing the elastic to the other side. I've still got a way to push. Okay, so here I've made it to the other side, and I'm going to do the same, remove this safety pin and just accommodate it so that it's in there. Okay, so I accommodated that. I also did just a long stitch length just to hold it down. Now that that's situated, now we can actually fold this over like this. I'm going to sew that there to close it up with 3/8 seam allowance, and then I'm going to pick this up and serge all the way to the other side, and on this side as well. Wrap this over, sew that, and then serge. Okay, so after sewing and serging that, we can flip this, and that's how it's going to be. It's going to be super neat. Now remember, that's temporary. I didn't really know what distance to do it with. So when I finally top stitch this, I'm just going to continue all the way down so it looks continuous. So that will come off, and when I keep going top stitching like that, I'll be catching the elastic because there's a little bit right there. So that's how it looks like from the inside. I think it's super neat. I'm just gonna baste this section again. All that's left now is to top stitch this. Hold that placket down. An elastic, that's 1.5 inches, and that's what you need to fit the cuff. I just measured against my wrist what would be comfortable. These are the cuff pieces. I have already sewn the short seam and folded that wrong sides together, and I have my little cuff right there. And this is going to match the bottom of the sleeve 1-to-1. Here's the sleeve. I have already sewn the seam of the sleeve and serged it. And this is the bottom, it's wider, right sides together, and the seam of the cuff is going to match the seam of the sleeve, and it will just go around. I find it super easy to just sew on the round, leave a gap enough for you to put the elastic through. Once it's through, then close off the gap. There's a little opening, so all that section is raw, all the rest is serged. And I did it like this because it's just easier to serge with this without the elastic. Once it's all lean and scrunched up, I find it trickier. I'm gonna put this in there, close it up. I have an armhole, I just have to set in my sleeve. I've already done the cuff detail on the sleeve, so it's just putting it in there and buttonholes and buttons, and the jacket's done. Here is my Smitten jacket. I'm so smitten with it. I love it so much. Here inside you can see my second yoke layer. This is just quilting cotton that I've purchased that I have small pieces of to do little personalized details like this. There is my little label that says lifting pins and needles. My collar, super neat. The facing inside. Now be aware that when you wear this little bit from the inside is going to show. So if the wrong side of your fabric is very different to the right side, you will be able to see that little bit right there. So just be careful, especially if you're using prints. Sometimes the wrong side is like white or just a different tone and you might not like that, so think about that. In this case, this is just all green, so it doesn't really matter. You saw this is very easy to sew. It's all integrated into the front. The difference is that I like to fuse separately, so that was fused, and then I sewed that, which differs a little bit to the pattern. But that's okay, there are many ways to sew and get to the same result. This is just the way I like it. I did sew the flap, but not the patch pocket, so that's just for decoration, and I just put a button there. I just sewed it right through. I actually did sew the buttonhole there just for decoration, but I didn't open it. I just sewed the button on there. I think it looks nice. If you don't have the presser feet, the blind hem presser foot for the edge stitching and the 1/4 inch presser foot for the other row, you're missing out on a wonderful top stitching experience because it's so relaxing, and then the results are so professional. I mean, the result is almost perfection, you know, and without much effort. That's how I did all my top stitching. I used the same thread I was sewing with. Here is the sleeve. Setting it in is so easy. It's so easy. You don't have to worry. It's just gonna fit right in, no worries. And on the pattern instructions, you'll see two options. You can sew this on the flat and also sew the cuff on the flat, but that means that you would have a seam with the elastic in there. So if you like that and that seam inside doesn't bother you, that's an easy, faster way to do it. I prefer to do it on the round and do the cuff on the round so that in here it's all clean and I don't have to touch that seam on my wrist. Usually this is a really sensitive area for me. I can't tolerate shirring or really tight things, so think about that. I think it's important to have non-roll elastic, quite hefty elastic, so it doesn't fold and start looking funny. And I just measured the elastic against myself while I was sewing. I want it loose, I don't want it tight. At the back I did top stitch the yoke, but only on the edge because I was catching the layer right there. I think it could be bulky. And you can see the panels there, the side, the center, the side, and the band. The band is so easy to sew. I found it really easy. The way I did it was really easy and just super enjoyable. I have definitely taken longer to do the traditional hembands in a different way, but this is very neat. It's all serged, it's got the elastic inside. The same, I just stood in the mirror. I knew the length that my jacket was gonna have and I just wrapped it elastic around me until I was comfortable. I didn't want it super tight or super loose. That's something that you have to do in the mirror and figure that out. Same as the button placements. I stood next to the mirror with my good bra, just marked with a pin where the height of my bust was, and then that is a place where there needs to be a button and buttonhole. Even though I don't plan to wear this closed ever, I still want that to be perfect just in case I do close it eventually. So on my jacket I have 7 buttons there. The distance I chose between them was 7 centimeters, which is almost 3 inches. I think that would be like 2 3/4. I always like to show you the insides as well. I do have a matching thread for my overlocker for most colors. I do collect them. I feel happiest when my thread matches. I would be very unhappy if I had to serge this with black or with beige or multicolor threads. This is just not my jam. And here is my plaid yoke that finishes all in the inside. So nice. Love the jacket. Yeah, there is a lot of ways I can wear this one, and I've had a lot of fun styling it. You'll see it with some fit and flare dresses, some wide leg pants. Yeah, let's see. This is my Smitten jacket from Pattern Emporium. I've chosen the cropped length for the tall person in the file. There is an ultra crop which will reach the natural waist. This one's a little below the natural waist. I have the elasticized hemband, the wider sleeve with the elasticized cuff as well. Mine is a straight size 18. No fitting adjustments other than adding 1 inch to the length of the sleeve just to allow the blousing there over that elasticized cuff. It's a linen rayon blend. I think the perfect fabric for it because it's medium weight but also has a bit of drape from the rayon. Up closer you can see the ease all that elastic is bringing it in. I think this option suits me better. You can also sew the band without the elastic, but I thought this was good for me. I really like this type of sleeve. It's different in this type of jacket, so I wanted to try different features. The length of this jacket is perfect to wear over a dress that has a bit more volume in the skirt, and this is one of my heartstring dresses from Pattern Emporium, and it's just so comfortable and easy to wear. Believe me, the sewing was not hard. I really love the way there's a little bit of blousing over that elasticized hemband. This collar technique is so easy to sew. You can see how to do that on my channel. I've chosen really nice buttons and you can see my sleeve up closer. There's a yoke seam at the back and the panels, so nice. And I've only done the pocket flaps as decoration. I've sewn the button right through, they're loose. I don't have the pockets, although you can put a patch pocket there. I think this is the perfect length for me. I don't think I can pull off a shorter jacket because of my proportions, and on me at least I'm happy that this is quite even at the front and the back, and the front is not shorter, so I'm really happy with the fit. I think the sewing was really fun. This color green goes really well with black and white. That's why I love black and white dresses, because you can put any color on top. Here it is over another fit and flare dress that I have. This one has a lot of colors and there is some green in there. I decided to bring that green out with the jacket and the matching shoes and bag. I think this is one of the few dresses that has a green print. This is a color that I need to build on in my sewing. This is a nice colorful outfit I would be happy to wear. This skirt is fuller than the heartstrings dress. I wouldn't want to wear a jacket that's longer with this style of dress, so it's perfect. Solved the problem. I didn't really have anything to put on top of this dress because of the fit and flare style and the fuller skirt. Love this look. Then I have my woven palazzo pants from Pattern Emporium. These have the green color there in the print. I really love these pants, and this is just another look. I have a tight fitting black top underneath, just tucked into my pants, and the jacket on top. I really love it. This is my style of wearing a maxi skirt look without it being a maxi, because I don't wear maxi skirts. These pants are so wide and flowy, and I think the length of the jacket is perfect for a wide style of pant. Here is another wide leg pant look, but this is a knit, it's an ITY. These are the knit palazzo pants from Pattern Emporium. Super wide leg, super mega wide. I love it. It looks like I'm wearing a maxi skirt, but they're pants. So comfortable. Same fitted black top underneath, my Smitten jacket on top. Really love these, so comfortable. I've got to make myself some more wide leg pants. I really love them. So comfortable to wear. I'm really bummed that I didn't have enough time to make a black one. I love the style so much, and you know a black one is gonna go with everything. So I hope eventually I'll get to the black one. I'm thinking I'd like to make a black one with a short sleeve. So I'd look at some of the short sleeve options from the patterns that are mashable with this one. So that's a plan, that's a dream. I would also make it with a drapey fabric like this one. I find the medium weight linen rayon blend that has a lot of drape with the rayon content. So that's my plan. I'm so happy with this. Yeah, if you are scared of sewing a jacket like this, don't be. Just take your time. It's not hard to sew at all. The instructions are very detailed, and I hope my videos help you as well. The thing about this one is that it's just an easy fit. You know, you're not worried that much about having it too close to the body. You know, it's just really easy fit to put on and you'll be sweet. Remember that the Smitten jacket plus a lot of other patterns that go with this style are 15% off through Monday the 24th of April noon, but in Australia time, around here in this area, it'll be around Sunday night. You might find my affiliate link down below. That's all from me. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Go sew yourself a jacket, you'll be really happy, and I'll see you again very soon on this channel with more sewing. Bye!